You know that people find different parts of the body sexy. Some people like hands or faces, but generally it's tits and ass. And scientists will tell you this is just a trivial biological result. That humans, far enough back in history, all had sex doggy style. And when you see somebody's butt, it makes you think of that. There's two problems. One, I have never met a woman who didn't look at men's asses. Every woman I've ever talked to about it. And she says, I see, an ass in tight jeans. I see a guy with a good ass. That's important. And this simple biology explanation can't explain that. Unless it's something derivative like cross-gendered pointless evolution like men's nipples, but that's inelegant. And that's the second problem, is it's inelegant, it's ugly. Something so derivative. I have suggested to you that people look at breasts not because they didn't get breastfed as children, but because that's where the heart energy is, and people crave it. I have had people, men and women, stare at my chest. And I don't have tits. It's the heart energy that, when they see it, it draws them, and I've talked about that. But here's a new idea for you. I have said that most of you, women even more than men, their butt looks ugly, flabby. I don't mean physically. I mean when you look at it, the energy, you sort of say, ooh, gross. Anybody who's paid attention knows what I mean. The energy could be moving everywhere in your body, but your butt may still look like it's got messy stuff stored there from years. Well, I have told you that, energetically speaking, your butt has filtering nodes. This is how you ground. You ground through your butt, down the grounding things in the back of your legs and down your heels. And so it makes sense that there are filtering nodes there, and there are. But what I haven't said is that there's also storage there. Right, the Asians will talk about a chi center in the belly, and yeah, whatever. The place in the system where you're storing a little extra energy when you have it, and I don't mean like a battery that's got an instant charge. I mean more like the biological storing. Right, biologically you put on fat in the butt and the hips because it's a convenient way to carry it, and if you have to go for a day or two without food, when your body starts suffering, it starts breaking down the fat molecules and using those resources. So it's not a quick energy storage, it's a long-term energy storage. There's a meta storage like that in the butt. And even people with little skinny ass who don't have physical fat stored there, they store meta energy there. So it's not just filtering, it's storage. So if you've spent the last 5 years, even the last 2 years, running a lot of healthy sexual energy and something that's dynamic and alive, those things will be stored in your butt. And those with any meta-sense, which is pretty much everybody, who look at it, even if they don't know why, they'll see something about you. They'll see this energy, and it will attract them or turn them off. Logically, you could say that phylogenetically, A man who is big and strong is more likely to be a good provider, right? More likely to protect you from the monsters out there in the dark, and thus help you to raise offspring. And while there's truth to that, and so there's a simple biological response to a construction worker in tight shorts. Just because these people, they do physical work all the time and are often in really good shape. Or an athlete. There is also energy storage there. And if you're grumpy and sour, bitter, depressed, whatever, those things will start getting stored there. And this is reasonable because when you define for your system what you want it to hold, you want it to keep holding that. If you want it to hold serious and intense, and you do this all the time, on days when you're really tired and you're having trouble being serious and intense, you can draw on these reserves and pull that energy back into your system. If you hold fun and playful all the time, that will be stored in the storage centers. They're not like breast implants. It's more sort of distributed storage network, like the liver, the kidneys. Those are also filtering things. Right? So if you hold playful fun all the time, that gets stored in your butt. And people looking at your butt with even a little bit of medicine will consider someone playful. Right? And so anybody who has been running healthy sexual energy, say most teens have a lot of sexual energy, for 3-4 years, you can look at their ass and say, wow, there's a lot of sexual energy there. And so, it is this reason, it is the storage in the butt, that, the meta-storage, that causes people to look at the butt to know someone's meta-health more than their physical health, and that makes them attractive or unattractive. And this is kind of a cool new idea for you, because you've looked at all of your centers as processing centers, right? Energy moves through them, and you clean them up, and you're done, right? But you've looked at the energy in the butt, and so I keep working, and that's still messy. If you understand it as a storage center that's tuned to your base tone all the time, then you can say, well, then I don't have to worry so much. Yes, I'll do the work to get it cleaned up. Yes, I'll get rid of the muck and the messy stuff I've stored there over the years. Yes, I'll learn to ground so that energy is actually moving. Because if energy is not moving, it's going to be a mess forever. Right? If it's all clogged up and messy. But once you get it unclogged and the energy starts flowing, then really it's just a matter of 6 months to 3 years, depending on how fully you want to see the transition complete, till you look in the mirror and say, wow, my ass looks good. Right, so I encourage you to kind of sense this and play with this a bit, and it may give you some perspective you haven't had before.